Sometimes a game appears seemingly out of nowhere. A game that you probably have seen before, or maybe you've heard of it, or maybe, for me, that's the first Descendant. The other week, when I was just perusing the PSN store, I saw this on the list of free games and decided, why not, let's see what's up. After all, this is how I stumbled on one of my personal favorite free-to-play games, Warframe, years ago. I spent a few hours with the first Descendant, a Korean-made third-person shooter that's apparently a free-to-play game that's been in development for quite a while. What I played is pretty surprising, and I just had to talk about it. The games as a service space is pretty well set in stone these days. We got Fortnite, Apex, Warframe, Destiny, and more at the top of the crop, even if I didn't mention them there, so don't at me if I didn't mention your favorite game. But we also have seemingly dozens of other games as a service every year tossing their hat into the ring to grab what little of time, attention, and wallet space that we have. Almost all of these fall flat on their face and get shut down soon after. They take elements of their popular big brothers and sisters, but they also try their own things to stand out, with usually mixed results, resulting in failure. But what if you didn't try to do your own thing? What if you copied 95% of what the other games are doing? What if you only added a tiny bit of your own spice to the formula? That's what I was thinking when I was playing the first Descendant, and I just had to talk about it. Let me start with, the first Descendant is a fine shooter. On the positive end of things, it's responsive, speedy, and has a fun, if not underutilized, grappling hook. Its shooting mechanics are serviceable, but not anything we haven't seen before. It feels quite loose at first, but it also has a pretty generous auto-aim too, making things in the moment-to-moment combat feel quick. On the negative, because it feels like other third-person shooters, it doesn't really stand out. If you played a few rounds of Fortnite, like I have, you'll feel the inspiration immediately. And when I say a few rounds of Fortnite, I mean only a few rounds of Fortnite. Compounding this sense of familiarity is the weapons and abilities. The weapons in this game aren't anything we haven't seen before. Assault rifles, shotguns, snipers, launchers, and so on. There are some neat designs here, but the issue is that they just don't feel unique to this game or any other. Because this game is PvE, it's all about seeing those numbers go up, but even when that's happening, the feel of fighting never really felt like anything special. This extends even more so to the abilities. Despite being on Unreal Engine 5 and dialing up the flare in some spots, this game's abilities are shockingly uninteresting. Both visually and mechanically, the ball is being dropped here. When chucking out fireballs or ice blasts, the game never really gives a sense that these are really unique powers. The small effects, underwhelming visuals for them, and just the lack of power behind them is a real detriment to the style of this game. Each character gets 4 different powers to use, but none of them were anything all that interesting. The main character I played could lob a grenade, he could give himself a buff that causes burn damage to said grenade, he could do an AoE heat blast thing, and more that I can't really remember. The second and third characters I played also had the same feeling. They were different characters, but they had the same feeling of these powers just leaving a lot to be desired. But don't get me wrong, this game is fine in all aspects of gameplay. It's checking boxes and it's more than competent, but that's all. I would love for the weapons and abilities especially to have a lot more bombastic and interesting flair to play with. Instead, it felt limited and at worst uninspired, thanks to there not being that unique flair here, despite its Unreal Engine talking point. To keep going with the visuals, this game looks pretty good to pretty average. The cutscenes in particular are well done and it loves to show off its character models in the menu. Like most games from Korea, it's filled with the world's most pretty females and the world's most cool males. Also, I love that it kinda lifted Apex's style for character highlights. I will give this game some credit though, it resists the urge, for the most part, to have the usual Korean game female character archetypes. You know the ones I'm talking about, the Bayonetta body with ultra long legs, the super tight booty and yoga pants, huge boobs, and the sexy yet professional high ponytail. I'm only slightly joking there, but you get what I mean with these usual free-to-play Korean games. The characters do have a bit of that same dull faceness to them, but it's not terrible about it. Also, I'm getting a lack of diversity among its cast at a glance, but purely because this is a beta, I'm letting it slide, because you never know what'll get added down the pipeline. That said, I don't expect much in that regard. The environment of the main hub looks cool if, once again, like everything else in this game, very familiar. Do you like Destiny 2's Cliffside Hub? Because it seems like the people making this game liked it too. It does give a cool vista to look at though compared to the rest of the beta environments. It mostly consisted of the usual overgrown abandoned town, then a desert area, but once again it looks fine, and probably with closer, more professional gaze, it probably even looks great. Okay, so the game itself isn't that special. So why did I decide to make a full-blown video about this again? Well, it's time to touch on the points from the word pasta intro that I wrote. This game takes so many ideas from other popular games as a service, it's almost shocking in the best ways. It's so unabashedly blatant about it that I was just compelled to play more and more just to see what else they're lifting from other games. Do you like Destiny? They sure do. Like so many other games, this too has that weird mouse-style cursor for its menus. First of all, stop doing this, game developers. Please stop doing this. No one likes it, nobody wants it. But that's not where the Destiny callouts stop. Once again, the hub is set up like a mini tower from Destiny 2. Its visual theme, the NPC menus, the NPC functions, and whatnot are so Destiny that it literally made me laugh. But you know what? It works for the most part. There's definitely a lot of self-discovery just by messing with the menus in this game, but they do have some brief tutorials to highlight certain things in case you missed them. The game has mods to buff your chosen character and weapons. Not exactly unique, but it's a welcome system, right? I've always loved the wild freedom that the Warframe mod system had. It let you go really wild on stats and effects to some extent, but you constantly felt powerful as you mixed and matched them. And guess what? The creators of this game loved it too. Seriously, it's the exact same system, just with some slightly different naming conventions. You slap mod cards into the available slots, and you can only put them in up to a certain limit. It even copies a lot of the same mods. Seriously, once again, this game is hilariously blatant about it. Even the way characters are unlocked is almost beat for beat Warframe. You collect parts from various missions, and then you have to build those parts. Since it's a beta, building the parts for unlocking new characters was reduced by quite a lot. While I'm not sure how long it'll take in-game when the full release happens, I'm willing to bet it's going to be 3 days too. It seems like there will also be the usual gamut of cosmetics like skins and even purchasable character colors. And then there's other things like the ultimate versions of characters where they have white trim clothes with gold accessories, and I'm just like, wow, it's literally just the primes from Warframe. Like, very unabashedly so, just like everything else in this game is very unabashed. They're just taking elements from other games and renaming it, and that's fine. Sadly, on the technical side of things, this game also left a lot to be desired. The game ran okay on PlayStation 5, but there's a decent amount of frame rate issues, pop-in, wonky textures, some physics bugs, and the other usual visual bugs throughout. Nothing that made the game unplayable, but it definitely needs a lot more polishing, and it's clearly a work in progress. Similarly, the story here is pretty forgettable from what we got in the beta. Something about alien bad guys stealing a MacGuffin from Earth gives our characters and a few thousand others special powers, and then we're tracking them down. We have a mommy in our head as well, and blah blah blah, that only we can see them. Or something like that. But you know what? While the first Descendant beta left an impression on me at least, this game just flat out takes some of the best or most memorable aspects of the biggest games as a service out there and smashes them together in one of the most direct ways I've ever seen. I don't think this is the next big thing, but I'm super curious to see where this game goes. The lack of any unique flair or ideas seems like a big detriment to the long-term appeal of this project, but I'm kind of rooting for it because of this. I love how chaotic this is, and I never heard of it somehow before this moment, but it's just somehow filled with every other games as a service possible, and I love it. Like I've said with the rest of this video, I do think this game is pretty average in a lot of ways, but at the same time, just because it's average in the shooting mechanics and some of the abilities, that also means it has lots of potential to go up. And that's where I kind of left off with this game just playing the beta. It has lots of potential, but it's not here quite yet. If the effects are more interesting, that's great. If the shooting mechanics have a little bit of their own spice with, I don't know, tighter controls or better weapon variety or more unique weapon variety, I think the first Descendant can be one of those games that really surprises people. And some other quality of life things like I was looking at some Warframe gameplay for the first time in years, and one of the things that stood out was like when you pick up a mod in that game, you get this big pop-up of the mod and it shows you what you got, so you can be either super excited that you got something rare or super disappointed you got another copy of something you've already gotten a million times. Stuff like that, just like putting it more in the face of the player, is the kind of stuff that really makes or breaks the player experience of games like this. And I really hope the first Descendant finds its own personality with stuff like that. Show players what they're getting, show them that these characters are cool, and show us, the player base, that this game is worth investing some time into. I'm hoping this game does well enough that we see this beautiful mess even more in the future. I don't think it's ready for release anytime soon, but it does seem to be on track to drop later this year, possibly? Either way, good luck to the first Descendant. You're all kinds of weird, and I'd love to see this kind of stuff pop up sometimes. Honestly, I don't know what else to say about this. I'll be here on the ground floor to see what kind of game this shakes out to be at launch. And once again, I don't think this is the next big thing, purely because it just lifts a lot of the actual mechanics and systems from the other games that already exist. Either way, thanks for checking out this video and impressions or review, and I hope to see you again for the next one. Until then, like, sub, leave comments, and I hope you have an excellent day. Hope to see you again. Goodbye.